Welcome to the Herd's official YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out the Colin Cowherd podcast, all of our NFL instant reactions, and more football content.
You know, over the course of a week, I have a lot of opinions. Many miss the mark, and this is the moment where I stand in front of America and am a little bit of a dartboard. It's called Colin Right, Colin Wrong, and here we go on a Monday.
Where Colin was right?
Well, I played Blind Resume with Bo Nix Friday. Remember that? We all thought that was kind of fun, Blind Resume, and I said with Bo Nix, he's really good. He's a franchise quarterback. He's just inconsistent. But he just became the first player ever to have 2 rushing touchdowns and 2 passing touchdowns in a quarter. The last 5 possessions for Bo Nix against the great defense, touchdown, 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 field goal. He's really athletic, under 15 yards, really accurate, can struggle with a deep ball, is not there yet, but he is a franchise quarterback, and that's all I've said.
Where Colin was wrong.
Last year's Washington Commanders magic has evaporated. I thought they'd be a playoff team for a decade. They feel a little old and a little slow. They're now 3-4, and here comes the Chiefs, the Seahawks, and the Lions. Nothing is working. The defense is mid. Run game is okay. Jaden Daniels is banged up. But there wasn't 15 minutes yesterday where I didn't think Dak was in control of that game. I missed on the Commanders. I did not think it was a one-off. I thought it was a new era, and maybe it will be, but it's not now.
Where Colin was right?
I've said Sean McVay's the second-best coach in pro football. The Rams fly in Saturday. It's a 24-hour business trip with no Puka Nacua, and it was one of the more crisp, efficient, detailed game plans ever. How many tight ends did they throw to? They had 2 rookies catching touchdown passes. And Stafford, as we've said, is the best pure pocket guy in the league. I mean, you were watching a well-oiled organization against the Jags, and after the Jags beat Kansas City, I said, this is not sustainable. This is not a well-run, well-oiled operation. I thought Stafford, if he doesn't make the Hall of Fame, he's the greatest player in this league not in the Hall of Fame because he is magic, missing his star, throwing to 7th-round wide receivers in London, and they were jet-lagged and got in Saturday for a Sunday game.
Where Colin was wrong.
I was wrong on Shohei Ohtani. I just said he was better than Babe Ruth. I didn't say he's the best team sport athlete ever. He won MVP of that series for one great game. 6 innings, 2-hit ball, 10 strikeouts. Does he have the best split finger in the sport? He's throwing 100. He had more hits Friday against Milwaukee than he surrendered. And one of those balls that he hit appears to have left the stadium. Here it is.
The right-hander Patrick deals. And Ohtani, towering wall, high drive, right field. He's done it again. Shohei Ohtani to the top of the pavilion in right field. 469 feet. The longest home run at Dodger Stadium this year.
Freddie Freeman's reaction. What did I just watch?
Where Colin was right?
Said about 3 weeks ago, the Indianapolis Colts are for real. They should be undefeated. They had the Rams beat. Running back, wide receiver, tight end, they have Pro Bowlers. O-line has to be top 3 in the league. They ran over the Chargers, and I know LA's beat up on the offensive line, but I've been defending Chris Ballard for years. I'm like, folks, this roster's good. There are stars in every unit. This is a really, really good team. They just needed a quarterback. They've got one, and they hammered Harbaugh and Herbert yesterday.
Where Colin was wrong.
I'm not saying it's all his fault, but Cam Ward feels a little collegey right now. He's doing a little hero ball. A lot of mistakes. He's trying to force plays. I don't know who to blame. It feels a little like Caleb last year in Chicago. It's not a very good staff, but he's been sacked 30 times. Doesn't have a great feel for the pocket. More picks than touchdowns. 1-6 record. I didn't think it would look like this. I for a long time, until the last week before the season, I said they could be a playoff team, and then I bailed on it. It's ugly.
Where Colin was right?
Well, we predicted, I said Notre Dame in cold weather would beat USC by 10, and they would beat them soundly because they would run all over USC, and that's exactly what they did. For the record, Jeremiah Love is going to be a first-round running back. He may not be Bijan Robinson, but he's close. 9.5 yards a carry. The kid's great. USC had some weird play calling. They were okay on offense, but this was a bad matchup off that Michigan game. The Irish had 306 yards rushing, and Lincoln Riley has not proven the ability to beat tough, good running teams on the road. He hasn't done it in 4 years at USC.
Where Colin was right?
Tua is toast. I did not get at any level the extension. I don't get how they built the team. If you have Tua, you have to have a good offensive line. You have to build it around the running game, and he can throw on play action. I thought he looked frightened yesterday. We all know he's not a cold weather quarterback, but 4 times this year he's been under 200 yards. I'm not blaming it all on him, but I am blaming the Dolphins on extending him when he had concussion concerns. Quarterbacks need help. Cam Ward and Tua haven't had a lot of it, but it's got to look better than what I've seen this year with Tua. And with that, 18 years in the league, Matt Hasselbeck is joining us live on a Monday. All right, let's start. I compared Bo Nix yesterday. Klay Thompson of the Warriors once had 37 points in a quarter. That doesn't make him Steph Curry. It doesn't make him KD, but it makes him damn good. So if you can score 33 points in a quarter as a quarterback, I'm not giving you all the credit, but there is something about Bo Nix. A lot of guys hang their head, and I thought Jackson Dart looked really good, but what do you make of a quarterback that is so bad early and so amazing late?
He's got great confidence to stay in there. The coach has confidence in him, and he's got his own confidence. That was an incredible game. If you haven't seen that game, go rewatch it. It was absolutely incredible, one for the ages. They start with the ball in the red zone in the fourth quarter, but it was great play by Bo Nix, and he got a little bit lucky too, which I think you need that as well. Yep. But I think he's way better than advertised runner. The 2 touchdown runs that he had were incredible. But I just think if you were to lock up one thing, something you cannot test for at the combine, it's that no flinch gene that some quarterbacks have and other quarterbacks don't. And I think he's weathered the storm of, ups and downs in his college career. He played at a bunch of different places. He's way more mature than, someone with his years of experience in the NFL. But he's got a coach that also believes in him. And I think he got him back in rhythm with some screen plays, maybe even a little bit of quarterback run game.
Yep.
And it was just incredible. I thought both quarterbacks were excellent yesterday. Really, really fun game to watch.
I will say this about Jackson Dart, and to your point, I thought that what we thought was going to be a game-winning drive, Jackson Dart's a better pro than I thought. I watched him at Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin, and he was hot and cold. He doesn't make a lot of – he had one really bad pass. Again, it's Denver. It's an aggressive defense. I'm just going to give you a bad throw. You're not playing perfect against that pass rush. Forget it. I thought Jackson Dart was really impressive. What say you?
Absolutely. And he's given Giants fans hope, something they haven't had in a long time. My favorite thing, listen, just because he threw that interception that, ultimately was one of the plays that led to their loss, in the long run, this is going to be great for his career. It's going to be great for it. Every quarterback, you throw an interception, you never, ever forget it. I'm 50 years old. I still remember an interception in, whatever year that saved me from other, led me to other big successes because of that one mistake. And you listen to him at Jackson Dart at the podium. He was incredible. It wasn't, we can't turn the ball over right there. It was no, that's me. That's I have to do better. A lot of taking blame, not we. You hear we out of way too many quarterbacks at the podium. It's not we, dude. You threw the pick. It was you. And that was the thing I loved about Jackson. It was almost like he was brought to tears over it. Even Dayball. This team is going to rally around this quarterback. They already have. So, I listen, I know it's a loss, and I don't want to be a moral victory guy, but with a young quarterback, this is something, it's a huge step. This is something where the locker room is going to love him. The league's going to respect him. I thought it was a really great game to watch. 2 young quarterbacks who are going to be playing a long time, in my opinion.
So I'm interested to hear this. Whenever you go to a game, it's different than just watching TV, even watching the 22 film. When you're live, I remember watching Bo Nix and Michael Penix live in Husky Stadium, and I sat in a couple of different places, and it really gives you perspective on, do they see the field? Live is different. So you're live yesterday. You're watching Drake May. So on television, he looks amazing and accurate. What did you see that I can't because you're there?
I think it's a good team. Patriots are pretty good. I mean, I think they're not getting a lot of respect, not getting a lot of talk. A bunch of veterans that aren't necessarily superstars, especially in their passing game and their running game. It's very much a committee offense. Drake's special, though. He's got special throws in his game. My concern for him is just protecting himself. He's a great athlete. And I think, even yesterday, he ended up in the blue tent unnecessarily.
Yeah.
I had a quarterback coach. He basically would say things like, hey, can we have less adventure on our throwaways? Can we have less adventure when you decide to run the ball? And I think that's the advice I would give Drake May, is that, like his best thing, one of the best things that he could do for his team is not miss any games this year. And that would be the one critique. But other than that, I mean, this is a Josh Allen in development type of player. He's that talented. And I think that, for the Patriots, they really feel like they got something special. And then being there live, Colin, it was basically all Patriot fans there yesterday. And the Vrabel chants were being chanted by both Patriot fans and Titans fans. So Mike Vrabel, I think everyone would agree he's a heck of a coach.
Yeah. So I said this earlier. I know it's a singular game. If Matt Stafford doesn't make the Hall of Fame, then I think it's ridiculous. You cannot watch him to fly in, jet lagged, no Puka. He's throwing to a 7th round rookie touchdown. He's throwing to a rookie. 2 rookies caught it. And listen, this is not a great O-line. Jacksonville, a couple weeks ago, led the NFL in takeaways. Jacksonville, it's their second home. That game was Stafford. And listen, it's just a really good organization. As a former quarterback, when you watch Stafford and that arm talent, what do you see?
Well, he's always had the arm talent. I mean, his problems were, especially back in the day in Detroit, getting a little sloppy with it, and trust in his arm arrogance is what I think people called it back then. No, he's unbelievably talented. He's super fun to watch. Weird things happen overseas in these games, though. Like, you never know who's going to show up. Like, you think Jacksonville would be better at it, more mature with it. No, the Rams, it was a clinic. Stafford had like 5 touchdowns. I think 4 of them, though, were like less from the 5-yard line in. I mean, it was a weird stat line kind of day. He spread the ball around great. To your point, no Puka. I think 10 different guys caught passes. Great game plan. McVay, Stafford, they know what they're doing. But it was really unique. I think even Devontae had I think he had 3 touchdowns for like 35 yards. It was a weird stat day. But sometimes when you're banged up and you're missing a star player, you got to go win games in a unique way. And I think that, to your point about a Stafford at his age, he did just that, and he did it perfectly. And, he's probably feeling pretty good right now. And you usually can't say that as a veteran quarterback.
Yeah, somebody said after the game, you may get knighted after that. And he just said, can I get a sword? All I care about, can I get a sword? All I care about. So, body language matters. I remember years ago turning on Jay Cutler and just saying, I don't like his body language. Like, his buddies on the team don't hang around him on the sideline. It drove me crazy. And I was critical of Aaron sometimes in Green Bay. He's by himself. He's holding. And I was like, I don't like that. But when I watch Ben Johnson watching Caleb on some of those passes, his resting face is discouraged. And I'm watching it. I'm like, he's not going to eye roll. He's not going to yell at him. But watching them yesterday, my takeaway is Ben Johnson knows what this team is, Matt, and it's a run team. It's a yards after the catch team, and it's a takeaway team. We talk about Caleb, but he's a supporting actor here. That's what it feels like to me. Is Ben's made the decision is we went and got Dahlman, Joe Tooney, Jonah Jackson. We're going to run the football here. And I think it's the right call.
Well, I think Ben Johnson is clean. Some first-time head coaches, they sort of struggle. They learn on the fly. They make a lot of mistakes. You say, like, yeah, this guy, he was just a coordinator. He's not really a head coach. I don't think anyone's feeling that way about Ben Johnson. I think everyone feels like Ben Johnson, no, like the Bears got the real deal. Like, he's the real deal. And I think he's got great confidence in how he develops quarterbacks, what he wants for his team, what he wants for his offense. And Caleb is supremely talented. So I think that this could work. But Ben Johnson isn't really the type, doesn't seem like the kind of guy that's going to change or adjust. It's kind of like, hey, Caleb, we're going to play on time. We're going to play on rhythm. We're going to run my scheme. I'm not going to put training wheels on you. Like, we're going to take shots early and often. Like, that's part of what we're doing. And if you want to be on board, you want to do it my way, this can work. If you want to revert back to what you did in high school and college because you were more talented than the people around you, then maybe you're not my guy. And I do think it is working. There are times where he kind of reverts back into kind of what you were talking about earlier about, what Cam Ward is kind of reverting back to a little bit. And sometimes it's tougher for someone who's really talented to just play within a system. I think that's going to be the hardest thing for this marriage, but it could work. As long as they keep winning and Caleb keeps sort of buying in, I think it could work.
So I'm watching Kansas City. They've rebuilt their O-line 3 times in 6 years. They maybe have rebuilt their receiving core 4 times in 7 years. They do a really good job, I think, of identifying their mistakes and quickly course correcting. I know great GMs in this league who would tell me privately, they don't want to put it out there. They're like, oh boy, I just totally whiffed on our 3rd round pick. Everybody makes mistakes in this league. But I'm watching Kansas City, and I watched them yesterday, 9 different receivers. And it's just like, now I look at their receiving core. 3 weeks ago, it's a mess. Now I'm like, is it the deepest in the league? In all your years in the NFL, you had really good coaches and really smart people. If a coach did make a mistake or a GM did make a mistake, were you ever in meetings where people just said, we're going to course correct? This doesn't work, this does. Because I feel like Kansas City is constantly fluid. They're constantly, because they pay Mahomes, Chris Jones, and Kelsey, right? They got to bring Juju Smith back. Let him go. They got to bring him back. What do you make of what they've done to this receiving core in the last 3 years? Now it looks like it's the deepest in the league.
Yeah, well, as a player, I never needed someone to take accountability at the podium. Like, I didn't care if the head coach or the GM or anybody got to the podium and said it, but I cared greatly, and I think all my teammates did, of what was said in the locker room, what was said in the team meeting room. When a coach or the organization, says, hey, our bad, we love that. We love that. I thought what was really interesting about the Chiefs, I think the Chiefs have one of the best cultures of any organization in sports, in terms of hey, we're in this together. It's us against the world, even though the world's really not against you. You mentioned it. 9 different guys caught the ball. However, the number 1 targeted guy, I think with 10 targets, was Rashee Rice.
Yeah.
This is a guy that, whatever you might feel about him, in that locker room, that is our brother. That is our teammate. That is our guy. And they had a concerted effort from the 10-yard line, from the 5-yard line, screens to him, push passes to him. Welcome back, number 4. Here we go. You're our guy. We're going wherever you help take us. That's an effort that the locker room rallies around. And you saw it in the play calling. You saw Mahomes. In fact, Mahomes' 2 worst plays that probably should have been picked were when he was forcing the ball to Rashee Rice. So he's got an effort to make, bring the guy along, get back right away. I don't know. There's just something special about when a team comes together that way from top to bottom. And then when I say bottom, I'm talking quarterback, franchise quarterback. That's not really bottom.
Yeah. Finally, every time I watch the Packers, they leave me wanting just a little more. And I'm like, I like them. They are super young, like Seattle. I understand it's a process. They may look different in 12 weeks. Yesterday, I'm like, okay, why does Jacoby Brissett look like Joe Montana? Why is he completing balls? Why? And then I think, well, Arizona at home, they've got McBride. They've got good players. Looks like Larry Fitzgerald, Marvin Harrison now is developing into something. Do young teams, every time I watch Green Bay, I'm like, okay, why aren't they winning this comfortably? Or am I overvaluing their talent?
Well, I think they're young. I mean, Green Bay's a young team. Jordan Love has got great potential, but I think we just think automatically he's like, hey, why aren't you playing like Favre and Aaron Rodgers? Like, it's just what Packer quarterbacks do. He's still a young player. I think defensively, they've got a new defensive coordinator, somewhat new, and Jeff Hafley. He hasn't been there that long, and I think, they played great last year. He started out great this year. They add Micah Parsons. They're trying to figure out the pieces. I think this is a good team. Parity in the NFL. It's a real thing, and especially in that division, I think a lot of people had the Minnesota Vikings. If J.J. McCarthy was going to be a guy, it's like, oh, the Vikings are going to take that division. It's not. Now you got the Bears are probably overachieving. The Lions are great. Packers took it to the Lions week 1. I do think that this is a team that I wouldn't be afraid to say this is a playoff team that could really do something special. But yeah, I guess I hear what you're saying with the Arizona game, but Arizona to me is just always been this like spoiler team. I don't care who you are. If you're the Rams, if you're the Seahawks, if you go down there, that's sort of a tough game. Usually it's Kyler and not Jacoby, but I'm not giving up on Jordan Love. I think this team will hit their stride at the right time. But I get your I get your feelings with that, and I'm sure Packer fans somewhat agree with you.
By the way, you went to Boston College. The UCLA Bruins, you are bandwagoning just now. Suddenly, they are red hot. It's funny. They let go of their coach. They bring in the assistants. They're on fire as a program. It is amazing to watch sometimes in college football. I'm like, it's a totally different juice, totally different vibe with UCLA, is it not?
Yeah, well, for the record, I am a UCLA parent now, and my son is on that football team. But listen, it's a real thing, and I've been a part of coaching changes when they happen on the fly. I mean, you either pull apart or you pull together. And this UCLA team has for sure pulled together, winning 3 in a row. I think big noon kickoffs going to Indiana this week. So that'll be a big one, Indiana versus UCLA. The games aren't going to get easier in that Big Ten matchup. But no, it's a real deal. I learned it in college with many head coaching changes. I learned it in the NFL with head coaching changes. It's part of what makes sports great and unpredictable. And for all you bettors out there, I would never bet on a team with against a team with an interim head coach. It's like a blind date. No one loves those going up against those types of opponents.
Good for you. Indiana's good, by the way.
To put it mildly, they're good.
Yeah, they're good. Hey, great seeing you, my man.
All right. See you, Colin.
Yeah, Matt, when he comes to Los Angeles to visit his kids, is a proud dad, and it is remarkable to watch UCLA. So the head coach, a former player there, leaves, and Jerry Neuheisel, who sounds exactly like his dad and looks like his dad, they have just turned it around. Just same kids, different energy, and that game suddenly got really, really interesting. Robert Griffin III, college and pro football analyst, will be joining us in about 45 minutes. Can't wait. We had him on a couple of weeks ago. He was fantastic. Matt Hasselbeck, his money. Colin right, Colin wrong today, halfway through. J-Mac with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
All right, Colin, in a battle of the best running backs in the league last night, Christian McCaffrey out-dueled by a mile.
24 touches. Wow.
Yeah, C-Mac was running wild, just great catching the ball, dancing. It's crazy. He looks way better than Saquon Barkley does this year. I don't know what's wrong with Saquon. We knew that it was a heavy load last year that he burdened, but by far, Christian McCaffrey has eclipsed Saquon Barkley. I think he's right there with Bijan as the best back in the league, and Kyle Shanahan talked about that performance.
He's huge. I mean, he's the most consistent player I've been around. I mean, he just allows you to stay on track. He gets every yard in the run game and more, and what he does in the pass game it's rare you're going to throw the ball to him and not get a completion.
He could be a slot receiver in the NFL. I mean, he's that gifted. Barry Sanders, Walter Payton, McCaffrey, to me, are just different. You could put him out wide. You can put him in. I mean, he had 31 total touches in the game. I think he had 20. I think he had 24 carries and 7 catches. I mean, that to me is way too much of a workload for a guy. I don't love that, but 24 carries in the NFL is a lot of carries.
Yeah, they're starting to work Brian Robinson in more, the kid they got from Washington. Maybe he's up to speed with the offense. I'll just say this. They kind of need him because Kittle's not there yet. You know, he didn't do anything last night. Jawan Jennings has a pass go off his hands that's intercepted. Brandon Ayuk still missing in action. Ricky Pearsall, the longest knee injury in NFL history. When they get healthy, and I saw they have the late bye, Colin, man, and no team could use a bye like the Niners now. I mean, they're just bringing guys off the street and try to plug them in and make it happen. Like,
no, I mean, if you look at the talent, look at defense alone. Bosa hurt, Warner hurt, Hufanga leaves, Greenlaw leaves. They bring in Robert Saleh. They're actually okay. It's a pretty darn good defense. I mean, you name another defense that over the course of a calendar year could lose their four of their. I mean, Bosa, Warner, Hufanga are arguably their three best defenders. For different reasons, they're all gone. The defense has played. I think Saleh and Shanahan. You could argue one's coordinator of the year, one's coach of the year. I think this is as good a job. Mac Jones, it's funny. If you take away your initial perception of him and you didn't know, he's kind of not sneaky athletic, but he runs in spots. He's always thrown a nice ball. But, I mean, their offense looks like their offense. It's very Christian McCaffrey reliant last night, but they've done a good job to overcome these injuries. A lot of teams get injured and it's man overboard. That's not been the case.
So if you're looking for stocks to buy in the NFL, I think right now the Niners have to be number one. The schedule and all those injuries. I mean, they were highlighting this new middle linebacker taking over for Warner. I know a lot of sharp bettors last night who were on Atlanta just because of the Fred Warner injury, right? He's out. Oh, Atlanta's going to go nuts. I was like, I don't know about that. This new linebacker, number 45, I'm spacing on his name. He was outstanding last night. So Robert Saleh, like you said, probably one of the best defensive coaches in the league. Awesome stuff.
Christian McCaffrey has 31 more touches this year than Jonathan Taylor. Now, the difference is Warren, Pierce, Pittman are more available. So what's happening to San Francisco is they're like, hey, this is what we have. We would not have him touch the ball 31 times. It would be like 18. But, their takeaway is last night was, the Rams had won in the day, right? So you're sitting there looking around going, okay, the Rams have a W, so you've got to win.
All right, let's move to Denver, Colin. The craziest game of the day. You touched on it at the outset. The Giants were up 19-0 heading into the fourth quarter and totally imploded. Jackson Dart's getting a pass because he was good for most of it, but that interception changed the game. Terrible decision. Here's Brian Daboll at a loss for words.
Tough way to lose. All the way down to the end, 60 minutes, and made one more play than we did. A lot of plays that could have changed the outcome of that game, not just one. 60-minute game, so, it's not one play, it's not one position, it's not offense, defense, it's collectively.
I mean, listen, Denver got a little lucky on that one touchdown that ricocheted.
Well, Giants got lucky too.
Yeah, I mean, that game ended the way it should have ended. It was wild. You get that. I mean, we've seen a couple of games this year that, Tampa, Seattle may have been the best game of the year, the shootout, Darnold Baker. This wasn't that because for 3 quarters, Denver's offense was inept. I did like both quarterbacks smartly using their legs. Dart and Bo Nix are good athletes. Use their legs. I've said this for years. The NFL the windows are small. The defensive coaching is sophisticated. You're going to need to pick up first downs to help your defense out. And Denver's defense was like, guys, we're getting tired. You got to extend some drives. So I think when Sean Payton leaned into Bo's, right here on this video, leaned into it, that's what this kid can do.
Yeah. I kind of wish Daboll had gone to the podium and just been honest. Guys, I'm effing devastated. We were the better team for 50 minutes. I can't believe that kicker missed an extra point or we go to over. Like, that's the reality. Colin, if a lot of people today on these shows and podcasts are just saying, oh, what a crazy game. Let's be real. Denver was not good yesterday. For 50 minutes, they were outclassed at home again by Jackson Dart, who's throwing to nobodies. I mean, he's throwing to Daniel Bellinger, Theo Johnson. Denver got embarrassed. They are lucky that they pulled out now 2 fourth quarters against the Giants and Eagles, where they were down bad. Well, right? Remember that Eagles comeback?
Yeah, you make your own luck. I mean, they're not. I mean, that's the greatest quarter by an offense in the history of the league, or at least by a player. So you make your own luck. If Bo Nix wasn't mobile, they don't win that game. He had 4 rushes, multiple first downs. running. He had 2 rushing touchdowns, so you make a lot of your own luck. And I think Sean Payton also, in those key situational moments, Denver always dialed up. I mean, this is one thing that Andy Reid, Sean Payton do. You get into these key situational moments, and Denver always call. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen. Is Bo going to run? Are they going to throw to Mims downfield? I mean, Denver's personnel, Jason, they give you, there's a lot of looks. They're long, they're range. Evan Ingram often
he looks good.
Oh, he's unique. He's like, he just doesn't look, he looks like an NBA guy. He's so big and wide, and Denver's personnel is outstanding in my opinion.
Humor me for a sec. Rank the teams in the AFC West. You can leave the Raiders off because
Kansas City 1, Denver 2, Chargers 3.
Yeah. Big winner yesterday was the Chiefs because the Broncos, I mean, this is the Jets and Giants are struggling with. These are dregs of the league.
I know.
And the Chiefs are blasting dregs of the league.
But in
31-0.
fairness, Giants beat the Eagles soundly. The Giants have had personnel. The Giants found their quarterback. Giants have the better coach. Giants have the better quarterback. Giants have the better left tackle. Giants have the better defensive front. Giants, strangely, have the much better culture when you look at what's happening with the Jets.
Well, thanks for that dig at the Jets. Final story, Colin. Let's go to tonight's game. Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff, 2 Cowherd favorites, dueling it out in Detroit. We're both on the Lions. Either the line has ticked up to 6 here. Michael Strahan this weekend had some strong praise for Baker Mayfield and how he's performed so far this season.
The thing about Tampa, they just keep winning.
They do.
And then you look at Baker Mayfield, and I'm like, this guy, in my opinion, is the MVP. He's the most valuable player in this league and to his team. Because at points you've had Godwin out, you had Evans out, Ibuka's been out. Those are his three top guys. Bucky Irving, and they still keep winning. So a lot of credit to Baker Mayfield.
I think Baker does the best job of defining his team. He's got a little pirate ship feel to him, and that's what Tampa's always been. They're a little loose, a little bit of a pirate ship. They've always had talent. I covered them 30 years ago. They've always had good players. It's been the quarterback situation. When they have Baker, when they had Brady, Brad Johnson for a while, when they've had decent quarterback play, they've always had the players. And I think Baker kind of speaks to their vibe and their culture. Kind of chill. They're fun. You never quite know what you're getting with Tampa. Through the years, they've been involved in crazy, wild games. Listen, when they get healthy, they're beat up. They're winning, and they're not healthy, so watch out.
There's a Niners vibe there. I'm not going to bore the audience with all the against the spread numbers. Dan Campbell off a loss. Campbell and Goff at home. They're really good. Detroit should win tonight. I'll just say this. If Tampa pulls the upset and wins outright, that would be a shocker to me. If Tampa wins outright and continues to do it with all these injuries, man, that would be something.
J-Mac with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Line News.
We finally witnessed it. The Philadelphia Eagles offense totally carried by Jalen Hurts. They have to because they can no longer run the football. Last year, Saquon Barkley accounted for over 100 yards a game 13 times. This year, it's 0 for 7. Is it Saquon fatigue? Is it O-line injuries? Whatever, 52 yards per game. So it's the fewest rushing yards by an Eagles team at this point in 30 years. So yesterday, they've transitioned their offense. They are now a deep ball offense. They have long, dry spells. It's very New York Yankees-like. It is very home run dependent, which they're not very good on third down. They can't run the ball. They're not consistent, but they hit a lot of home runs. Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, outside of T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, and maybe including those guys, that's the best receiving core in the league. So you hope maybe this long ball home run offense loosens up the run game, but it doesn't kind of feel like Saquon is going to be. They've shifted their identity. They hit home runs now. No small ball. No controlling the clock. Yesterday, they barely had the football. If you turn it on, Minnesota had the ball. So Hurts on 20-plus yard throws yesterday was 5 of 6 with 3 touchdowns, so he proved that he can do it. But they have shifted. They're the opposite of last year. It is home run balls, not moving runners across. And here's Nick Sirianni after the win over Minnesota.
Find a way to win, and then identify issues and get better from it. I know how I felt for the last 2 weeks not winning. So I'm never going to take a win for granted ever again. I think sometimes in the midst of it, you can be like, man, like we'll be there, we'll get there. Like, but we're going to enjoy the heck out of this thing.
The offense is a little Dr. Jalen, Mr. Hyde. You don't know what you're getting half to half like Denver, but in the end, their receiving core is elite. Jalen throws a beautiful deep ball. They hit on it. And this is not what they were last year. They were at times, but you get some, with this kind of offense, like the Yankees, you get long dry spells. Yeah, they don't, they're not running the football at all. And they're not going to win time of possession, and their defense is going to be on the field a lot. But when you can do what you do yesterday, I thought that was an impressive win. All things considered, force Carson Wentz into mistakes, which he's prone to do. So the Chicago Bears are on a bit of an ugly heater. I said earlier, Ben Johnson watching Caleb Williams sometimes has a resting face of discouraged, disappointed. But I think you have to be honest about the Bears. Their interior O-line is elite. Their run game is excellent. They're taking the football away. And whereas Caleb was the star of the show offensively, high school, college, and last year, that's not what he does now. He is a supporting actor with this Bears offense. And here's Matt Hasselbeck talking about it.
I think that this could work, but Ben Johnson isn't really doesn't seem like the kind of guy that's going to change or adjust. It's kind of like, hey, Caleb, we're going to play on time. We're going to play on rhythm. We're going to run my scheme. I'm not going to put training wheels on you. Like, we're going to take shots early and often. Like, that's part of what we're doing. And if you want to be on board, you want to do it my way, this can work. If you want to revert back to what you did in high school and college because you were more talented than the people around you, then maybe you're not my guy.
Yeah, listen, you can watch Ben Johnson's frustration with the pass game, but I will argue all day long. The skill people for the Bears, DeAndre Swift, Caleb Williams, Luther Burden, Colston Loveland, Cole Kmet, DJ Moore, they've got really good skill people. In fact, the last couple of weeks, yards after the catch, they've been top 3. So there's a lot of things to be happy about. It's a good place to be in the NFL when you're on a 4-game winning streak and aren't playing particularly well on one side of the ball. And again, Caleb is not getting sacked as much, despite what you see there. He's cut his sacks in half. He's never been a big interception guy. So it's not like Spencer Rattler, who just kind of felt like he wanted to prove things. They're not turning it over a ton. They're winning the turnover ratio, the turnover differential. They're near the top of the league. They're running the football. They're playing good defense. They've hit some field goals. So, again, I mean, they're in a good space. It's very clear they got the right coach, and they've got the right offensive personnel. I said it with Bo Nix earlier. I said it with Jackson Dart. I've said it with Caleb Williams. I've said it with Michael Penix. You're not getting any Phoenix to Los Angeles 45-minute smooth flights. All of them have turbulence. Patrick Mahomes, best talent at quarterback ever, that's an outlier. Josh Allen was bumpy early. Bo Nix has been bumpy. This is what it looks like. Bears right now, again, are number 1 in turnover differential. You'd have taken that 10 weeks ago if I'd have told you in August, listen, the run game's going to be great. I say this with my wife anytime she's in a bad mood. I said, would you have taken this a year ago? Would you have taken in August, number 1 turnover differential, 4-game winning streak, run game is devastating, defense is aggressive and playing well? Check, 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 check. You'd have taken all of them. And you're like, the passing game, it's not there. And you're on a 4-game winning streak. He was a Heisman Trophy winner, a Pro Bowler, 8 years in the NFL. And now he's a Fox Sports NFL and college football analyst. Love having him on the show a couple of weeks ago. Let's bring him back. RG3, Robert Griffin is now joining us live. I want to start with some college football. So I watched USC Notre Dame. I thought sometimes, Robert, games are predictable. It was going to be cold weather. I think Notre Dame is built for it. They're a very, very, very good running team. USC has not shown an ability to go on the road, play physical football consistently. I watched Notre Dame, and my take was I looked at their schedule as I was watching it, and I thought, they don't play another ranked team. Robert, college or pro football, especially college, they're built for bad weather. If they can win without throwing the football. I think Notre Dame is not only a playoff team, I think they're going to have success. I don't know if there's a team built for January and December more than Notre Dame, or am I a little hyperbolic on the Irish here?
No, you're not hyperbolic, and I know you follow the USC Trojans program pretty closely. It has been a problem for Lincoln Riley to get them to travel. But when you look at Notre Dame and the way that they're built with C.J. Carr, you got Love at the running back position. These guys, there's two things that travel in big-time college football late in the season. It's the running game, and it's your defense. They have both of those things. So if Notre Dame wins out, I'm with you. They make it to the college football playoff, and I think they do some damage there.
Yeah. I also, what do we make of USC? I had this discussion this morning with somebody I respect. I said, I think Lincoln Riley's smart. I think he's a good play designer. I think Jaden Mayava, I watched him at UNLV. I never thought he would be this good. But could we argue maybe he's not a great culture creator? This team, we're 4 years in now. They don't travel well. If you throw a little rain, a little physicality, I mean, Robert, they don't travel well. Maybe this is just what they're going to be.
It comes down to whether you believe having a team travel all the way from the West Coast into middle America was really the best decision for this USC program. I think that Lincoln Riley is a great coach. I think he's a great developer of quarterbacks. He's got Jaden Mayava playing out of his mind. And ultimately, it comes down to who else in the building can be that culture creator for them. Some of the best head coaches I've ever played for set the culture, gave the motivational speeches, but it was the strength coach. It was the defensive coordinator. Those were the guys that really set the tone day in and day out. And, we had the issue with Lincoln Riley and Alex Grinch there for a while, and he fixed that, bringing in D'Anton Lynn. But at the end of the day, they have not been able to figure out that recipe. And I think it also goes back to the transfer portal. It's really hard to build a roster in college football today. Making no excuses for Lincoln Riley. I think he's phenomenal. But at the end of the day, you do have to win football games.
Yeah, no, it felt like that Michigan game last year where they were in it, but they can't stop the big leaks in the run defense. They just can't. Put them on the road, a little chilly weather. It's not the same program. So I watched Ohio State, and Wisconsin's not a good comp because there really is a program there. I mean, catching passes was a problem, like open stuff. But I watch Ohio State's defense, and Robert, it's by college standards, there's not a lot of windows open. Like you need an elite quarterback throwing into small windows. And Julian's saying of all these quarterbacks, he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. I don't know. It feels this defense might carry him. I don't know. I mean, from a collegiate standpoint, is Ohio State to you head and shoulders above the country?
I don't believe they are. I believe Indiana's the best team in the country. and the reason for saying that isn't just solely based off of how the two teams played against Illinois. I saw an Ohio State team that took advantage of the mistakes that Illinois made, and they capitalized on them. But I saw an Indiana team that went out there and absolutely dominated them from the start of the game to the finish. And they gave up 2 rushing yards in that game. So it's not a transitive property conversation or argument. It's just more of what I saw with my own eyes. And I think Fernando Mendoza is playing lights out. But to speak on Ohio State, I just think Julian Saiyan is not getting the attention that he deserves because I believe he's going Super Saiyan when it comes to playing winning football. I know he leads the country in pass efficiency and completion percentage. And this past week, he throws for 393 yards and 4 touchdowns. I thought he needed that type of game to people to really understand how well he is playing. He's my front runner for the Heisman Trophy. And I know he's got Jeremiah Smith and Tate out there at wide receiver. But at the end of the day, someone has to steer the ship. And that's why I think Julian Saiyan is the Heisman frontrunner right now. In Ohio State, you talk about that defense. You're going to be have to have a quarterback that has the utmost confidence to throw into traffic and use ball placement to beat them. So your point about small windows is spot on.
Yeah, it's NFL-ish where you better spin it because you're not getting a lot of wobbly stuff downfield and not working against the Buckeyes. Okay, I want to talk about Drake May. How is Drake May? I mean, I know Mike Vrabel's smart. I predicted they would be a playoff team. How has he grown this much in one offseason? He is accurate. We always knew he was big and moved. How do you explain his ascension this quickly?
I think it's Mike Vrabel, and you can talk about offensive coordinator, this playmaker, that. I think it boils down to a culture builder, a culture creator, where you have an identity. Anywhere Mike Vrabel's been, he's always been able to create that identity. The Titans are missing him right now because they don't have an identity. So you bring him into the Patriots organization, and you have this quarterback who's got a big arm. He can make plays with his feet. And Vrabel sits him down and says, "This is all I need you to do." He didn't throw the football 35 times. He didn't throw the football 40 times, and they put the team on his back and say, "Hey, we're going to live and die by your arm." Threw the football 23 times. And it's because what Vrabel does best is he gets his defense to play at a high level, and they shorten the game. So what Drake May has done to this point in the season puts him, in my opinion, in the top 5 for the race for the MVP. And I don't think it's any world-beating things. It's just a general expectation of, listen, we're going to make this game very simple for you. We need you to make 5 plays a game. Everything other than that, be ready to get to your checkdowns, be ready to play winning football. And that's where I think Mike Vrabel has been the key for Drake May to unlock his full potential.
So, we were talking about the Jackson Dart Bo Nix game. And I think Denver's got much better personnel. So I was strangely more impressed with Jackson Dart than I was Bo Nix, because I thought Jackson played really, really well. And I joked, I said, maybe it's because he's a good-looking kid or something, but his confidence is his confidence is unshakable. Like, he just doesn't care. And there is something about it. It would be so easy if you were Jackson Dart to go to Denver with that pass rush, high altitude, and to kind of be like, get a little overwhelmed with it. But we were saying this morning, there's an it quality to Jackson Dart. Whatever it is, you had a great rookie year. Are you surprised how good and how confident he is? Because it's not a great offensive line. Denver's got better players. That's indisputable. Are you surprised by Jackson Dart?
Colin, I'm not surprised by him because I got to watch him in college duel it out with Jaden Daniels. And he out-dueled them at Ole Miss when they played against LSU. I believe this was back in 2023. So I got to watch that firsthand, and I saw that it factor that you're talking about. And I've mentioned this before. You see guys like Jackson Dart who have moxie, right? But normally when you say a quarterback has moxie, you're saying he doesn't have arm talent. He's not a great athlete. He can't make just some crazy plays off schedule. Well, Jackson Dart can do all of those things. And there's also different types of runners. You have your Tim Tebow style runners, your Bear Bachmeier style runners, who I called the game for BYU this past weekend with, where they're downhill, they're trying to run guys over. And then you have guys like Jackson Dart who have a little bit of wiggle to them and are actually fast. That can help erase some of the mistakes of your offensive line. And what I think the Giants are going through right now is they don't have a culture of winning. That is why they didn't close out this game against the Denver Broncos. They're not used to winning. They're not used to people saying good things about them. Last week, I thought they were the only 2-4 team in the league that was walking around like they were 6-0. And that's because of Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo.
So with Mahomes, they've rebuilt. They've rebuilt their O-line 3 times in 6 years. I think they've rebuilt their receiving core twice this year. They are constantly course correcting, because in this league, fans sometimes, and I'm guilty of this too, the best GMs whiff. The best players make mistakes. Tom Brady threw a pick 6 in a Super Bowl. Like, this is a mistake league. And you just have to course correct, lose the ego, identify it. Wow. I'm watching them yesterday, and the Raiders aren't great. But when you watch the offense, is it Mahomes? Is it the GM's picks? Is it Andy Reid? Like, what impresses you? What do you look at and go, wow? Because we all watch Mahomes, but I mean, good God, they put Hollywood Brown wasn't working. He works there. Juju Smith was fine. He's great there. Everything works with their offense.
Yeah, and you're spot on, because what they do so well is they're very multiple. Right. They get Rashee Rice back. They utilize him. They got Xavier Worthy, who's got elite traits. They have Hollywood Brown, who has an elite trait. They get the most out of Tyquan Thornton. Why? He's a big, tall, long-range receiver who has elite traits. You got Juju Smith-Schuster, who, when he's not getting punched in the face after games, is moving the chains on third downs. And, of course, you can't forget about Travis Kelce. So what I've been most impressed with is Mahomes' ability to get it done with anybody. And I think that is eerily reminiscent of what we saw from our colleague and the greatest quarterback of all time, Tom Brady. he had that constant in Rob Gronkowski. And then it was Julian Edelman, Wes Welkers, all these different guys that they can throw in there to make plays happen. But it all boils down to Patrick Mahomes being the one that's just distributing the ball out. And I also think they do a really good job of this, Colin, because we see this with young quarterbacks when they come in and they have a great season like Jaden Daniels did or like CJ Stroud. What the Chiefs do so well is they bring in more talent regardless. And that talent isn't just hey, this guy should be good. They have an elite trait, so they can use them in a very specific way.
Yeah.
And that's why I think some of these young quarterbacks are struggling, because they get talent around them, but then they don't upgrade every single year because, hey, we're good at this spot. Let's go over here. It's like, no. Always bring in a receiver. Always bring in a running back, because you never know when that player is going to be able to give you a 4 to 5 game run that could help you win a Super Bowl.
So there was a piece of video. We'll wrap it up with this. There was a piece of video in camp with Caleb Williams. He's throwing to a net and he misses badly. And he gets really upset. And I've said he's got a ton of horsepower. I think he doesn't throw a lot of interceptions. High school, college, pro, he never has. But he may just never be 67% completion guy. He may never be that. You tell me. All quarterbacks have, maybe outside of Mahomes, they all have like limitations, strengths, liabilities. Yep. Can Caleb ever be 68% completion guy? Or is that's just not, he's horsepower guy. He's big play guy. He's not consistent accurate. I mean, what do you make of it?
I think for Caleb Williams, I've heard coaches tell me this about like Brett Favre. You got to live with the bad because the good is so good. And with Caleb Williams, there's going to be some plays where you're like, hey, man, what was that? But you have to let him grow into that. If he's going to become a 68% completion, 70% completion guy, you have to allow him to build that confidence and do what he does best. The best thing that I think that Ben Johnson has done thus far this year is their running game. That is what allowed Jared Goff to be this play action pass quarterback who, when you asked him to make 7 throws on 3rd down a game, he could make them at the highest level possible because you were giving him open routes. They were using Amon-Ra St. Brown to get open in the middle of the field and move him around, kind of like they're doing with DJ Moore. But the Bears didn't have that run game. And for the past 2 weeks, that run game has been alive and well to the point where Caleb didn't have to play even really good for the Bears to win. And that's what you want from a young quarterback. Give him that stability that you guys can lean on that running game, and he will grow into that. But you know this, Colin, the world is not very patient right now. It's probably the most impatient it's ever been. But if you want to see Caleb continue to grow, you can't expect him to be Joe Montana in year 2.
I want to wrap with something on Dak. I said this very early in Dak's career. You could see at the podium. You could hear it. You could see it. Jerry Jones is kind of needy and a lot of vanity and a lot of maintenance. Dak always said the right thing at the podium. Dak was always high IQ, EQ. In fact, I liked his intangibles more than his tangibles. I just liked the guy. And then I'm watching this year, and I think it's something. So George Pickens came in. He was, he's a little immature, wildly talented. And yet he goes to Dak. No drama. I mean, he's just no drama. And I think Dak gets credit for this. I don't think that's the case everywhere. I mean, in Pittsburgh, Mike Tomlin, who is a pretty, he's a willing supporter of players who can be somewhat dramatic, right? He's had a few. And Mike's like, I'm moving on. And then he goes to Dallas and not a peep. He is gone from highlight guy to high production guy. I think Dak gets credit here. Your take on that, when the quarterback is mature, does it change the locker room?
Oh, 100%. And, everyone wants to talk about the Cowboys and Dak Prescott. I think he's playing like an MVP as well. I know they're 3-3, and it's hard to say. But I think the best thing that has ever happened to George Pickens was CeeDee Lamb going down. Why? Because he was able to show them, I can be a number 1 wide receiver. We knew that in Pittsburgh, but as you said, there were some issues there. So I also have to give credit to George Pickens for coming into a new team in a new situation and understanding that, hey, this thing can go one of 2 ways. I can continue to do some of the things that I did in Pittsburgh that really got me out of there, or I can buy into what's going on here despite how our record is looking right now, and I can be a great teammate to the rest of these guys. Dak does always answer the question the right way, but he also shows honesty in some of his answers. He didn't know that Micah Parsons was going to get traded, but what's he supposed to do about that? He has to go out there and continue to play. So you got to tip your cap to Dak Prescott for what he's been able to do. I think you're spot on there, Colin. But CeeDee Lamb going down allowed George Pickens to establish himself within the offense and get that confidence and camaraderie with Dak. Now he's got 2 number 1 wide receivers.
Yeah.
And you just saw what they did to my Washington Commanders.
Yeah, they did. That was that was a butt kicking.
Yeah.
We cross our fingers on Jaden's health. Robert,
Yes,
I
sir.
love having you on. College and pro stuff, you're dialed in, my man. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you, Colin. Anytime. God bless.
Yep. Does his homework, knows his college football. I've just come to terms with USC. You put us in the octagon with some clouds and rain, we're not coming out of it with a W. It is what it is. At home, we can beat anybody except Ohio State. But on the road, it just doesn't feel like it's, I don't know. I watched that game and I'm like, this is exactly what I thought it would be. In fact, it was worse. 300 yards rushing. I figured it would be 200. It was worse. And, there is something to be said about toughness travels. And USC is smart. I think Lincoln's really, really bright. I think his play design is excellent. There's no question they're fun to watch. But I feel like I'm seeing the same movie over and over.